Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the live stream of the Jimmy Dore Show. We have special guest Aaron Maté is with us.
Super cash.
You know him. He's a New York-based journalist who hosts this show when I'm not here. And he does such a great job, doesn't he? Everybody loves him. He also hosts Pushback for the Gray Zone. He's appears at his Substack at mate.substack.com. And in 2019, Aaron received the prestigious Izzy Award for Outstanding Achievement in Independent Media from Ithaca College, an award he shares with this show. Please welcome Aaron Maté, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so what happened was Matt Taibbi went in front of a congressional committee. It's the weaponization subcommittee. Members spar over Twitter files, right? So what the Twitter files and Matt Taibbi and what's the other guy's name? Schellenberg? How do you say his name? Aaron, you know the guy's name.
Michael Schellenberg, yeah.
That's it. So they were tapped by Elon Musk to disseminate, go through, and release the Twitter files, which showed collusion between social media giant Twitter and the government agencies like the FBI and stuff like that were requesting people be censored. And them working with the government to censor private citizens. And there's a lot of, it's very chilling if you actually give a care about First Amendment, freedom, liberty, anything like that. Or if you're against authoritarianism and totalitarianism, it's very important because, but what happened is now the Democrats, you know that they're the big conspiracy theorists. There's the Russia people. They're the ones that are doing the censoring. Now corporate America favors the Democrats. They're the establishment party. The Democrats are now the party of the FBI, the CIA, the Department of Homeland Security. They're FDA, CDC defenders. They defend government now, like corrupt government. Instead of fighting it. They're supposed to be the ones fighting all that stuff. They're not. And so now they've tried to turn Matt Taibbi into, what's that guy's name? Schellenberg?
Schellenberger.
Why can't I remember his name? Michael Schellenberger. They're trying to make those two journalists out to be enemies of the people, the way they said Trump used to do that. When Trump was just being rude to Jim Acosta, because Jim Acosta is a jackass. Trump never did what these people are doing here. And wait till I show you what they're doing. It will blow your mind. So here is the ranking member, the ranking Democrat on the committee. And there's something interesting about, she's from the Virgin Islands. She doesn't get to vote, but she is the ranking member on this committee. So here's how she started it off.
Twitter executives who had actual firsthand knowledge.
She was talking about a hearing that they held a week earlier, talking with Twitter executives, and she's claiming that it didn't go well for the Republicans. That's what she's saying.
About what happened in 2020. And that didn't go so well for the House Republicans because real evidence showed that there wasn't coordination between Twitter and the federal government as they like the American people to believe.
So the Democrats, this is really what they're doing. The Democratic Party as a party, their narrative right now is to make you believe what they say instead of what you see. Don't believe your lying eyes. Believe what the So if your eyes see the Twitter files, you'll know that the government and the FBI colluded with social media to censor people left and right. And now the Democratic Party's, their whole narrative now is that didn't happen. That was just normal curation, and the government was suggesting things.
Yes.
So here we go.
And that all the so-called Twitter files really showed was a discussion on content moderation, and that we only got a fraction of the discussion. So now we're back again.
So that's the other Democratic Party talking point. One, it didn't happen. And then B, you're only looking at some of the emails. You're not exposing the rest. That would expose the Republicans. That's the idea, that this is some kind of a partisan witch hunt instead of just Matt Taibbi going through this stuff and revealing what he found, which is what this is. Okay, so that's the two big talking points in the Democratic Party, okay? That they're cherry picking the stuff that they're releasing, and that it's false, that the government didn't actually try to censor people, and they did. Okay.
No surprise. What else have they got to talk about? Not what's interested in the American people are interested, not what taxpayer dollars have brought us here to Washington to do. And the Republicans have brought in two of Elon Musk's public scribes to release cherry-picked, out-of-context emails and screenshots designed to promote his chosen narrative. Elon Musk's chosen narrative that is now being parroted by the Republicans because the Republicans think that these witnesses will tell a story that's going to help them out politically.
So that's what the Democrats has turned this into. They've turned the Twitter files into a partisan thing, and that you can't believe it. Anything Matt Taibbi or even what those emails say, just like you can't believe the video that Tucker Carlson is showing because of who's showing the video. You can't believe these Twitter files because Matt Taibbi and that Schellenberger guy are somehow compromised, and they're not true. Even though they're award-winning journalists, they're somehow compromised. They're not telling you the truth. That's the story. And she's attacking journalists for exposing corruption and malfeasance inside the government. That's the thing they claim Trump did. They're doing it. Who's doing it? The Democrats, from Joe Biden down to her, because who's the lowest Democrat in Congress because she doesn't even get to vote. So from top to bottom, they're pushing this bullshit story.
Tuesday, the majority released an 18-page report claiming to show that the FTC is, quote, harassing Twitter. Oh my, poor Twitter. Including by seeking information about its interactions with individuals before us today.
So what she just said was that the Federal Trade Commission, what they revealed was that the Federal Trade Commission has been harassing Twitter and directing them also and threatening them. And then did you see her response? Oh, poor Twitter. The government is harassing a social media company and threatening them. And their response is, oh, poor social media. Not like we should get to the bottom of this. Okay, here's one more and then we'll bring in Aaron.
How did the report reach this conclusion? By showing two single paragraphs from a single demand letter, even though the report itself makes clear that there were numerous demand letters with numerous requests, none of which we've been able to see, that are more demand letters and more requests of Twitter. In other words, the conclusions are based on a fraction of information out of context, cherry-picked, surprise, just like the Twitter files.
So that's the narrative. There it is. So there it is. You can't believe anything you hear about the Twitter files because it's cherry-picked, and these two journalists were handpicked by Elon Musk to go tell you all these lies. And here's where it gets really creepy.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not exaggerating when I say that you have called before you two witnesses who pose a direct threat to people who oppose them.
So let me bring in an actual award-winning journalist, Aaron Maté. That's chilling to me. It's chilling that they're all doing it in unison. It isn't just one person like when they tried to pretend it was Trump doing it. It's the whole party doing it and the media, the corporate media. So go ahead, take it where you want.
He's referring to two journalists who come before Congress to testify about their reporting on Twitter files, actual factual evidence showing major pressure on social media companies like Twitter from intelligence agencies to censor voices they don't like and to spread their own propaganda. And rather than focus on the content of those files, she's trying to, as you talked about, trying to smear the witnesses and calls them a threat. Who are they a threat to? They're a threat to people who support censorship. And because they're exposing censorship, she's threatening them. Because she's telling them that if you try to expose the censorship we support, we're going to smear you and you're going to face consequences. And that's why she's calling them a threat. And it's the lowest of the low. It's so sleazy. But yet that was the theme throughout this whole hearing from Democrats.
And here is when she stepped in it, and she calls him a so-called journalist here.
And to praise him for his work. This isn't just a matter of what data was given to these so-called journalists before us now.
So she referred to Matt Taibbi and Schellenberger as so-called journalists. So-called. Well, the irony is, and several people pointed this out online, Glenn Greenwald being one of them, Ben Johnson being another, is that this is her. She's a delegate. She's a delegate to the United States House of Representatives. She's not a representative. She's a delegate, and she doesn't get to vote. She's a so-called delegate. This is from the Wikipedia page. She's called a so-called delegate. So there's the irony there, and people are giving it to her, and she has it coming. So Matt Taibbi was given a chance to respond by the next speaker, and here's what he said back to her.
Ranking Member Plaskett, I'm not a so-called journalist. I've won the National Magazine Award, the I.F. Stone Award for Independent Journalism, and I've written 10 books, including 4 New York Times bestsellers.
So that was he was given a chance to respond, and there's his, I'm not a so-called journalist. I'm an award-winning journalist. I have 4 best-selling books, New York Times bestsellers. And then he added, it looks like I've lost your vote, ranking member. Oh, wait, you're a delegate from the Virgin Islands, so you don't get a vote. Now, what's that you were saying about me being a so-called journalist again? She's a so-called Congress member. So, and so they're trying to make it like Matt Taibbi is some kind of he's just ripping on Democrats and he's just there as a partisan hack tool of a billionaire. But again, he's made this point over and over that this isn't left-right party. He says this.
Again, Ranking Member Plaskett, I would note that the evidence of Twitter government relationship includes lists of tens of thousands of names on both the left and right. The people affected include Trump supporters, but also left-leaning sites like Consortium and Truthout, the leftist South American channel Telesur, the Yellow Vest movement. That, in fact, is a key point of the Twitter files, that it's neither a left nor right issue.
But that's all that Democrats can do. So that's how they're going to position it on CNN and MSNBC, that this is a left-right issue, and that Matt Taibbi and Elon Musk are just have it in for the Democrats, and that nothing happened. There's nothing to see here, and these guys are just political hacks. They're doing that to journalism, to real facts and journalism. Let me bring back in Aaron. Anything you'd like to add?
Yeah. Well, Jimmy, so the reason why Democrats and their media cheerleaders can ignore comments like Matt that you just played, where he talks about how the censorship and silencing has also been directed against leftist sites like Telesur, Truthout, and Consortium News, is that Democrats don't care about sites like Telesur and Consortium
That's right.
News, because Consortium News actually challenges power and actually challenges the national security state. And all those people who identify as being on the left, who are trying to minimize the reporting Matt is doing here, they don't challenge power themselves. They don't actually challenge the national security state. So thus, they don't care if a site like Consortium News, which actually does, is silenced, because they don't consider that site as being a part of their club. So that makes it, so they just ignore that and try to make this a partisan thing and try to pretend as if Matt Taibbi is serving some kind of Republican narrative. It's not Matt Taibbi's fault that Democrats have embraced not just censorship, but deranged conspiracy theories, like the conspiracy theory that Russia was somehow behind Hunter Biden's laptop, or that Russia was conspiring with and blackmailing Trump. When we were challenging that, yes, we were challenging a conspiracy theory that was unfairly aimed at Trump. But we weren't doing that to defend Trump. We were doing that because it was a dumb conspiracy theory that was very dangerous and served a whole bunch of nefarious ends. And that's the part that these people can't grasp. So it's not Matt Taibbi's fault that Republicans are taking advantage of this issue, because Democrats have given them that gift because they're pro-censorship. So the answer to all this is not to attack Matt Taibbi for reporting on it. It's to try to pressure Democrats to stop supporting censorship and stop supporting deranged conspiracy theories like the ones that we've been challenging.
So that's the Democrats' answer to actual reporting that exposes malfeasance inside the government and censorship. That's their response. Do you see there's nobody looking out for you, okay? And the Republicans who are exposing this, I'm thankful that they are, the Republican chairman, and they're calling these hearings, they're also doing it for political partisan reasons. That's the thing. They also are trying to make it a left-right issue. That's all they have, because they all work for the same people. At the end of the day, they all work for the same people. And so the Republicans will use this to the effect that it helps them politically. But they really aren't going to go after the FBI. They're not really going to go after the intelligence community. They're not going to do any of that stuff. They're not going to act. There's not going to be any real reforms, I don't think, from any. Do you think there'll be any reforms from this, Aaron?
Yeah, if I were making a bet, I'd say I doubt it. But as you say, it's better than it's better than nothing to at least have these hearings. These hearings get facts out to the public.
Yeah,
and these hearings also expose how bankrupt and dishonest intellectually these people are who are trying to support censorship. I mean, look at the behavior of these Democrats here. One after another, they expose themselves as unhinged McCarthyites, and that's a public service to expose that.
If you want to see my stand-up special, become a member at jimmydore.com. It's only $10, and come see our live stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, Palm Springs, Milwaukee, St. Paul, Honolulu, Northampton, Massachusetts, Syracuse, Cohoes, New York, Hartford, and more.